warm welcome to this edition of Public Forum. I'm Shalini Verma. Cities are engines of growth, and this commonly used statement has become a slogan for urban policies in recent times. It is expected that in the next 2 decades, nearly 50% of Indians would be living in cities. The projections made in the UN's recent publication, State of the World's Cities 2012 and 13, suggests that the Delhi urban agglomeration will have a population of 28.6 million by 2025, still well behind Tokyo's 37.1 million. Mumbai, in the meantime, will have reached a population of 25.8 million. It is estimated that both these cities will see a steep rise of 29% in their population in the next 15 years. At a time when Indian megacities are rushing to provide world-class infrastructure to welcome capital investment, this report certainly is an eye-opener. It forces us to think as to what kind of pressure this will put on urban amenities in these two cities, and are we really equipped to handle it? And to discuss more on this issue, we are joined by Mr. K.C. Sivaramakrishnan. He is the chairman of the Center for Policy Research, Dr. Sudhir Krishna, who is the secretary with the Ministry of Urban Development, and Dr. S.R. Hashim, who is the former member of Planning Commission and also the chairman of the Indian Association of Social Science Institutions. Let us start the discussion with you, Professor Sivaramakrishnan, since the assessment made by this report right now targets only two metropolitan cities of our country, Delhi and Mumbai. What are your views on the points that I made in the beginning of this program?
Well, I think as far as the population anticipated increase is concerned, it's not surprising, and what the UN Habitat has picked up, a particular sample of cities. It doesn't matter that it talks only about two cities. I think by stating the subtitle as
policies in the country. But at the same time, when we look at the increasing pressure on the urban areas, on the urban centers in the country, specifically these two capitals, in a way, political capital and, of course, the commercial capital of this country, do you think that it, at the same time, is an eye-opener? We'll certainly have to look and, in fact, think about the problems that these centers are facing.
Yeah, actually, the issues for these two cities reflect the general scenario in the country. All the cities are now under pressure, and this pressure is not undesirable in one sense, because cities are, as you said in the beginning very rightly, the cities are engines of economic growth. So the cities must accept population, but in a planned manner. The problem lies in inadequate.
You see, let me first state that it is not out of ordinary that the agglomeration around Delhi and Bombay will be some of the largest agglomerations in the world. In fact, 29% growth, which is projected by UN report over the next 12-13 years, it will be adding. At present, our urban population is less than 400 million. We'll be adding 500 million to this population nearly to become 900, a ratio going from 31 to 55-56%, which means that the rest of the cities, not these two agglomerations alone, in fact, they will be growing rather slowly. Rest of the urban areas will be growing at a much, much faster rate. And the problem that you have pointed out about Bombay, in fact, will arise in more and more number of cities. This problem arises because, you know, we seek for urban problems or its solutions within the city. There is a city, there is traffic congestion, build a flyover, expand the road, or do something for slums, provide electricity, water, this, that. But there are certain solutions, in fact larger solutions, which just not lie within the urban area, but which lie outside it. They lie in the overall macro policy of the country. We have not planned for, properly for education and employment. And that is what is reflected in the worsening situation of these metropolises.
So we haven't been really able to match the development in these urban centers with the rate with which the urban population has grown. And of course, the points that Dr. Hashim mentioned here, whether it is in terms of providing better job opportunities or good education centers or even health facilities.
Well, I think if you take the history of cities across the world,
is about cities, mega cities, and of course growth and development. It certainly is a part of planning. But Dr. Krishna, what are the trends that indicate that India is becoming more urbanized day by day?
Yeah, actually, the urban population today is 32%, which was 28% in 2001. And we feel that it is a growth which is significant, but I feel it is not much. In fact, urbanization should be much higher. And we have...
You can start with Mumbai, you can talk about Delhi. But why do you think, and do you even, first of all, do you think that migration is certainly a problem? And migration is leading to some sort of pressures on the urban centers? And how do you think, and we can certainly tackle it?
The point number one, I would say that migration is not a problem. In fact, migration is the solution. People must migrate to cities. They must relieve the pressure on rural areas. Farmers' holding must rise to 10 hectares of good cultivable land with 2 crops in a year. Then only the farmer can have decent living. But unless the population migrates to urban area, that can never happen. So therefore, migration is the solution. That is the first thing we must accept, number one. Number two, why the slums?
Urban centers. Professor Sivaramakrishnan, this is a very interesting, in fact, point that all of you have made here, that is, migration is not a problem. But sir, I would like to understand it from you. Exactly what is the pattern of migration that happens in our country?
Well, depending on the 2001 basis, this is what we get. The sum total of migrants in the intercensal period, 2001 and the 10 years before that, is just about 100 million. It's a small number for this country. Out of that, the bulk of the migration is rural to rural. Bihar to Punjab, for example, in the cultivation season or in the harvesting season. The migration, and secondly, much of this migration is intrastate, within the same state, not necessarily interstate. As Dr. Hashim pointed out,
Delhi, they would say that we have got migrants, we have a Jaipurite here, we have persons from Bihar, we have persons from UP. But I would like to have your views on this, sir. These are figures, they could be, you can check me if I'm wrong. About 40% of urban households do not have proper sanitation. I'm coming to the basic things. 26% of urban population without a toilet facility within their homes. 85% urban population has access to safe water supply. Only 85%, that is the figures. It could be wrong again, because practically it doesn't seem so that 85% of urban population has it. Traffic on roads has grown by 7 to 10% per annum. Vehicle population grown by 12% per annum, sir. We're talking about vehicle population growing 170 times in last 50 years and road infrastructure expanding only 9 times in 50 years. Sir, is this some sort of a mismatch between what we aspire to have, aspire to be great cities, engines of growth again, and what exactly is the situation?
First, I would say that the issue of migrant workers, which Mr. Ramakrishnan mentioned, that people are coming for contributing to growth, and also that has to be seen from one more perspective, that when people come from, say, Bihar to whichever place, maybe Delhi or Mumbai, while they are contributing to economic growth of city, what are they getting in turn? Are they getting health care? Are they getting, any kind of care for whatever they deserve as a human being? So if these things are provided for, automatically...
I quoted these figures. I would like to take your view again on the issue of, it's considered that 50% of our population is going to be in cities. Of course, the point that you mentioned was that it is not just the mega cities. It is also the tier 2, tier 3 cities. And in fact, the figures also suggest that 53% of the urban population lives in small towns. Yes. So here the figure is very clear. But sir, looking at that, what kind of changes do you think we really need to implement now when it comes to urban planning? And planning should begin from, of course, the metropolitans and then go down to the other cities too? Or what should be the pattern?
Okay, let me just enumerate the most important issues on which we should focus, most important issues. In the context of 50% urbanization or more, the most important thing which will arise is need for educational facilities. We are still a growing country. From today's population of 1.22 billion,
We'll talk about this aspect too. Time for a very short.
urban development.
Dr. Krishna.
What he thinks about it and what are the government.
Absolutely, the issue, the proposition is absolutely valid, and we are also bound by
frankness with which Dr. Sudhir Krishna has given his views as Secretary of the Ministry. One of the problems we have had in spite of the constitutional amendment is that for some reason many of the state governments do not like to transfer power to cities. The Indian mayor, with great respect, I would say, is a bit of a joke.
And that's one of the crucial aspects, because it is said, several estimations, several research, but it is generally said that about $1,200 billion, that is a kind of capital spending that is required by 2030. This is the McKinsey Global Institute report, sir. What is your idea about investment in this particular?
It is absolutely right, and from various counts this estimation seems right. In fact, it is somewhat on the lower side. The investment required in urban infrastructure, be it city roads, be it city transportation, water supply, sanitation, solid waste management, is absolutely, much more than this. But on one hand, smaller city
investment and how to attract it?
I think a good part of it can come from the market, but still the government will have to make an effort. There are masses of people, common people, and therefore wherever it is possible to involve the market, I should say you involve the market. Like, you have to take care of the cities.
Okay.
And in that context, I would also like to say migration is the fuel for that growth in the cities.
Okay. So urbanization certainly cannot be prevented, and it is in our own interest that we manage it and we also direct it in the benefit of public interest. Thanks very much, gentlemen, for talking to us. Quite a pleasure having you here. So we should try our best to let our cities not only survive but also thrive. So on that note, we say goodbye to you. Thanks very much for watching us. Goodbye.